Feeling good, looking good, or better still, being healthy is everyone's desire. And for some of us, it's even a goal. We know that if we could just have a good diet, we shall be healthy. And if we can just consume the organic vegetables and fruits, it is even better. We're even very well informed that herbs are medicinal. Like, this is good for us. But let's face it, this is not something that we always, do. Why? Because there are a number of challenges depending on where we come from or which country we live in. For some people, the fresh vegetables and fresh fruits are not available. For others, they are more expensive than the refined products. For some people, to find organic vegetables that have not been exposed to artificial fertilizers and herbicides is really, really expensive. And then for some of us, to be honest, vegetables can be blunt in taste and can be very challenging to cook, like to add interest to the menu. Now, for me, it was more of things like time. I couldn't see that time I would get to put in such a mega project in my mind. And then I didn't have the space. Living in an urban center, every inch counts. So I didn't have that space where I could say, let me grow my things in my mind still. And then there are these challenges of pests and diseases. I have seen plants grow by themselves, like when I've not planted, and then they would always get infested. Now, I also had a challenge of soil because I had no space. The only available place I could put this vegetable garden is where there had been a kiln, like that burnt bricks from, and that soil is not viable for crop growing. So I had to literally ferry soil from somewhere else. I had to get fertilizer, I had to look for loam soil and mix these three to be able to get soil that I can actually use to grow. And now, where you see this, it was supposed to be a corn garden, I had to literally dig deep, remove the burnt bricks from down there, fill it with soil and start to, pile up the levels of soil vertically so that I can increase the space on which to grow. All of this was a challenge, but nothing was as challenging as the dogs. Guys, 5 dogs. This dog's mission is to uproot and unplug anything that has been planted as long as it's not like fastened enough. So flowers, potted plants, everything gets destroyed if it's left, outside in the night within the perimeter wall. Now, my challenge here was to find a space which I had to enclose away from, like, off the dogs, where I will have fertile soil for my vegetables to grow. But remember, I want to do this organically. So I had to get materials like timber, chain link. I already had timber. I had to buy stones. I had to kind of collect around. Cement I had to buy. Then I had to get labor. Basically, I spent around 180 to 200,000 shillings, which is like $50. And made this happen. Now, after enclosing and fencing off, I took even a longer time to actually come up with these gardens. Now, because the garden I had to just recreate it. I looked at the things I had: old suitcases, broken chairs, broken pieces of toilets, jerry cans, different types of plastics, metals, name it, and then damp seal. That is what I used to create these gardens. Planters, name it, containers. And then I decided to start with the easiest vegetables, and that is Swiss chard and kale, which is the sukuma wiki. For those ones, at least I know they don't fail. So after making my garden, my nursery bed, I transplanted. I was excited, smiling. And then there's this heavy downpour, and which it ended up destroying some of these plants. And then because of rushing through the project, I was not even able to put holes through the jerry cans. Because of course I'm trying to do this organically, many of these plants ended up being eaten. And then to my surprise, I had tomatoes. In places where I had not even planted anything. Now, like this suitcase, I had tomatoes. I think they came with the loam soil I had collected from wherever. And then I ended up with actually 12 tomatoes in this small space. This garden place is so small. If I could measure it, I don't know if it even makes 5 feet by around 10 feet. It is so tiny. But now, just like life is, you're flexible. You don't just remain rigid. I wanted to plant kale. I wanted to plant Swiss chard. When these things grew by themselves, including maranthus, the dodo, I decided to weed through, leave these things to grow. I make use of what has been availed to me. So this dodo, I gave it, at this point, I think the plants were about 3 weeks. So I decided to give it 1 more week, and I harvested it. and actually it was eaten. So I kept the tomatoes, I started taking care of them, and then the other plants. Whoever knew, I would get infested by, as I cut, you saw at the beginning I was cutting that tree to kind of create light because it had put shade in this area. But that tree sour soap, it is very, very susceptible to infestation by all sorts of things, fungi, bacteria, insects. And now me growing my vegetables near it really exposed these plants. Now, there's a time I actually went to this garden. I had a green pepper, one like this that had germinated. I transplanted it, looked at it, walked away like for 1 minute or two. When I came back, it was gone. I started to think even birds could be eating my plants. So many of them, I could say maybe in an area where I planted, say 20, a week later, they are only 16, and then they are 10, and then they are 3. So they really, really, really got eaten up, but I didn't give up. I kept weeding through, and within no time there's food available for my family. Now, this whole idea, when I was beginning it, I was pushed by a group of ladies at my church. We sat down and were asking ourselves, but can't we improve our diet? Can't we even improve our income? If each of us can be growing these vegetables, we could give to people who want to sell, or who are able to sell these things, or who want to buy them, and we could have a little income for each family. Let no one say that there's nothing healthy to feed their family. But you people, these group things, out of the so many ladies that were in this meeting, I think I can recall like maybe 3 or 4 of us that literally started. And even for this push to come, it's because we were very many that were beginning it. And it just reminds me of the fact that faith comes by hearing, and also fear comes by hearing, or for some of us seeing. So you hear an idea, you conceive it, and then you faith it, and you're like, I'm going to do it. But then also, many of us get stuck there because honestly, faith is a sacrifice. It is a sacrifice because there is all these things your mind is telling you. There is all these things your brain is working out. What your emotions are like at that time. Do you have the energy? Will you get the time? Do you have the resources? Will you be able to pull through? Do you have the resilience? All these things are talking to you. And I think that when I consider faith in itself, it is really a total submission of the power of our senses. The power of our mind, the brain, and the power of our emotions to this hope we have, to these things, the thing that has yet happened, or to the person who is making this thing happen. And when I look through my life, when I see these vegetables looking this good, I ask myself, how much have I missed? What if I had started earlier? What if I had done even more than this? What if we were many people who had done this? So all the dreams or whatever I hoped for, I am seeing it little by little. I cannot tell you that a morning will come and I have no food for my people, or there are no vegetables for me to eat if I'm going to achieve this good health thing I'm looking for. I cannot tell you that I can be worried that I cannot get vegetables. In fact, my idea is I'm going to even include more of the herbs, because many of these vegetables I'm also growing are really readily available in the organic way around me. So I want to go for more of the things that are not available, like the herbs. When I talk about herbs, I'm talking about things like rosemary. I'm talking about more of the mints, whatever varieties there will be, things that I can even use to, add flavor my food. They can also eat them. I want to go for things like broccoli, cauliflower. I hope that I'll be able to pull it off. Now, when I looked at my gardens or my planters, I had a lot of this dodo here, you see, that was growing. And I realized that even when I harvest this one, more is going to keep coming. So I will pull up the older one. As I weed through, the younger plants will keep coming, and I will continue to feed my family on what even I did not plant. I still struggle with time to give my garden. But one of the things that has really caused me pain are these tiny little caterpillar-like things. They start when they're very tiny and they feed on especially kale and grow big. By the time I discovered they had eaten many of these plants, and they like the softer middle part of the plant, and I honestly want to only do organic. So the best way to curb these ones, I pluck off the leaf and burn it. I know I could consider things like ash or what, but the times I have tried, they don't die. So when I get them when they are still younger, these ones are now big. I get them when they are still younger, and then burn them out. Now, to just give you more tips on the benefits of these organic vegetables in your diet, dietary fiber is very abundant in these vegetables. We know the vitamins are very abundant, especially these dark green vegetables, the pigmented ones, the oranges, the yellows, things like beetroot. They are very good sources of vitamin A. Vitamin C is very abundant, so it will boost your immunity. Health will be good. But to go deeper, you will find that there are also sources of essential oils which we know are healthy. They add color, texture, and even bite to our menu. This dietary fiber we know is good for those of us who are trying to lose weight because it adds bulk to the menu. Dietary fiber also reduces the risk of heart disease because it counteracts the action of cholesterol in our bodies. It also limits sugars in our bloodstream, so it really works out on our diabetes type 2. Dietary fiber is very essential, obviously, for the movement of food down the gut, and will end up preventing also constipation. We know it is anti-colon cancer. So it adds bulk. You get satisfied when you've not eaten much. You people, if you're looking for something healthy to add to your diet, vegetables are the way to go. Keep going.